episode of Chasing Mysteries Gardens. I'm Rebecca, and along with my wife Karen, we are on a mission to renovate and rejuvenate our little piece of earth. So today we are going to look at some problems that are developing in our garden. We're going to focus on three things. One, we just planted some butternut squash plants, and they are showing signs of powdery mildew already. It was on it when we got it from the store, and I thought that I could treat it because it was young enough, so we'll see. The second is some of our onions are starting to turn brown and wilt, so we'll talk about that. And then third, I'm just going to go over a kind of a failure with some of our radishes, and I'll talk about that. So let's get started on today's adventure. First thing we're going to talk about today are the squash plants. So these are butternut squash. They were just planted, and you can, I don't know if you can tell, but see the spots right there? That is powdery mildew, and it was there when we bought the plants. They were all like that, and they were the only ones that I could find, so I'm taking a chance. So there are many ways that you can try to prevent or fix powdery mildew. One, you can spray it with neem oil. Two, there's a mix of baking soda, soap, and water. What we're going to do today is try milk. And I know that that sounds silly, but they don't know why, but the properties of milk have been found to help with powdery mildew, and it also boosts the immune system of the plant to possibly prevent it in the future. So what you can do is take 1 part milk to 9 parts water. So we mix together a half a cup of, it's 1% milk with 9 parts water. It's recommended that you use skim milk, only because skim milk does not have any fat in it, and the fat can create an odor. So it's not really, the higher the fat, the more there is to quote unquote rot and create a smell in your garden. So we have 1%. I suggest you use skim. The liquid in my little handy squirt bottle here. And once you do that, you just pump this several times. And then it just sprays. All right. So you want to spray on top as well as underneath the leaves. And powdery mildew actually gets on cucumbers, squash, radishes, pretty much everything has its own kind. So it's okay if it gets on the other plants. Sorry, I'm not very good at this videoing and doing something at the same time. So it's over on this side too. So we'll just give these a spray as well. It's recommended that you do this once a week. Again, camera. It's hard to get kind of under the leaves with one hand here. All right, I'm gonna keep doing that and we'll come back. You can tell on this plant, this is also getting powdery mildew on it. This is in a separate its own little container. So we're just gonna spray everything. Eventually the suction on this thing goes away and you have to pump it up again. What's nice about this container is that it has this little lever here for constant flow of the liquid, or you can just, so with the lever on, it constantly comes out. So lever on, it constantly comes out, and then, or you can just control it with your thumb like that. So you want to make sure you also get the stem, because it is on the stem as well. And this is Sherry, and she is not doing very well. So some of the leaves have already come off. Like, that's not powdery mildew, that's just, not sure what that is. There's no bugs. There are some new leaves forming, so that's promising, and these are tiny little flowers. So we'll let it keep going. What a healthy plant looks like. There's no powdery mildew, and I think it's powdery mildew forms for a number of reasons. And this plant is in the shade for more of the day. And also, I've been watering it in the morning as opposed to at night. And they recommend that because then the liquid that's on the leaves has a chance to dissipate rather than the water sitting on there overnight. So we're going to spray this plant as well as a preventative measure, so that hopefully we don't get powdery mildew on these plants back here. We're going to talk about are these radishes. So I've pulled them out of the ground, and as you can tell, they are not what a radish is supposed to look like. These were all in the area where I sprayed some rodent deterrent. It comes in a spray bottle and you just spray it around the edge of your garden. Well, I made the mistake of spraying it directly on the plants, and I think it killed it. That's the only explanation, because I did get some radishes from this garden that were successful that I did not spray, and these were sprayed. So do not spray directly on the plants. It is really meant just for the edge of your garden, and it will kill, apparently. The final thing are these onions, and you can tell, but some of the leaves are starting to turn yellow already, which is not a good thing because they're really early. And this could be for a couple different reasons. One, I could be overwatering. So to find out, if you stick your finger about 2 inches into the soil, oh yeah, and it's really wet, then you're probably overwatering. So down here, the earth is just like so wet that it just like clumps together. So I think I'm going to just not water this area now that the radishes are out. I can basically just skip this area and see if that helps it. It also could be that onions suck up nutrients very quickly, and it could also mean that this area is low in fertilizer. I'm gonna wait until next week to do anything as far as fertilizing goes, just to see if the the watering, the lack of watering helps. If it doesn't, then we will fertilize this garden. Thanks for joining us on today's adventure in the garden. Today we talked about powdery mildew, also hydration of plants, and we also talked about what not to do when it comes to pest control. I hope that you've enjoyed today's episode. If you have, please give it a big thumbs up and also hit the subscribe button for more. And as always, Suki Suki. Love the earth, love yourself, love each other. Till next time.